They're even louder now.
This is the beginning of my communication with Stacey. We had initially chatted, and at some point Stacey offered to share some experiences with me. I was, and always am, interested in hearing someone's experiences, especially ones that are ongoing or around someone's property, etc. I very much enjoyed listening to what Stacey shared, and then I asked if I could share some of what he shared on my YouTube channel for others to hear, learn, etc. This led to the idea of perhaps sharing a good portion of Stacey's story, and as he said, especially if you think it may help people. I not only feel like this can help people by perhaps relating with a story from someone where they may notice consistencies, etc., but also I speak for myself here, and I suspect others. I learn from hearing about experiences. That being said, here is some of what Stacey said about his experiences and subsequent insights, which I appreciated. I can relate to Stacey's experiences from what I have experienced. The following are some segments of voice messages Stacey sent to me, and so it may not be so fluid as in someone telling their story in a certain order, etc. This will be followed with a second part where Stacey offers a bit of a background story which preceded some pretty mind-blowing experiences and even actual sightings. Here is what I have compiled from what Stacey sent to me.
Hey, Martin. I'm better at talking it out. It's been quite an experience. So I live on the family property, lots of woods, lots of nature, deer. There's a lot of trees. It's very thick, so you kind of have to get acquainted with it. I didn't live here for about 20 years, so from my early 20s to my early 40s. So it just gives you a little background. But this one particular night, again, about 2 years back, walked out my front door, walked around the front of the house to the side of the house, and behind my house there's like a yard, it's kind of a wooded area, and behind that's a big pasture, and there's another pasture. But I walked around the side and I heard that ruh. It was, what I heard was like a ruh sound, and I felt the impact like a bass frequency you would feel. I felt that impact in my chest, and at that point I had already had a few things happen out here, and I just hadn't cued in yet what really was going on, if that makes sense. My immediate reaction and response was actually fight mode. So I just yelled, "Hey!" Like, I didn't know what it was. For that split second, out here we have coyotes, some wild pigs. They don't commonly come up to this close to where there are homes and stuff, because I do live in sort of a little neighborhood, kind of country neighborhood place. But my immediate response was like, "Hey!" Didn't have my light, and it had to have been at maximum maybe 30 yards away from me. It was close. Reason I know that is when I yelled at it, I heard this off-kilter, it stormed away from me like it was getting away from the plague. And it had this off-kilter gait, almost like a horse on steroids that had extra weight. It was just like, I heard that. I could tell which direction it was running from me towards, if that makes sense. The first maybe 3 or 4 or 5 steps it took, I could feel the vibration in the ground. The rhythm of it, again, was so odd and off, it didn't make sense to me. And I heard it run off for maybe 1 to 2 seconds, and then poof, gone. So it was a pretty surreal, profound moment. And now learning a lot more about the phenomena of these beings, the phenomena that people encounter and describe and experience and everything like that. I know I'm a knower. I know what it was. In like you had described in the kind of message through YouTube, it's exactly like that, brother. You go out and explore and experience what you experience, or in my experience, it comes to me a lot of times. It's been pretty quiet. There has not been much that I can tangibly put my finger on in maybe the past 8 months around here. But it's quieted down a bit. I'm pretty sure they're still coming around doing some weird stuff. Maybe I'll tell you about that later. Again, at the time that happened, Martin, I had no clue. I speculated maybe it was Sasquatch. I was definitely very open-minded to it at that time, by that point. And it wasn't probably until a year and a half after that particular incident happened that I started to put all those pieces together and go, oh, wow. That's definitely what that moment was. I guess that's it, buddy. And, over time I can share different bits. I've got 30 stories like this. It's 40. I've seen them, Martin. There was a moment months after this one I just described to you where I've had 4 roadside sightings. It's been interesting. The 4 roadside sightings were obviously, they were all at different times. They were all at night within the span of a few months. All in the same area, about a mile down the road from my house. One of them was really little. One of them I saw like the back of it, and I saw the conical back of the head thing, and I saw the just ripped, shredded muscle tone of it, the back of its like upper back shoulder area. And it was on all fours. One of them I saw, it bluff charged. I was driving, same area. All of these I saw while driving by. The one that I saw the back of with the ripped shoulders was right next to like somebody's trash bin on the side of the road for the trash people to pick up. The little one was like kind of scooting around in the ditch next to the road. And the one with the ripped shoulders was like in the shoulder lane next to the trash bin. Those are 2 separate nights right within the same area. The one that bluff charged me ran at me like a gorilla. And I was driving, it ran out of the trees. I thought my brain at that time, I still didn't realize it was Sasquatch, and I saw them. It took me a while to process that and realize that's what I saw. But this one of them bluff charged me, and it stopped when it came right up to my car. It didn't do anything. Just bluff charge, ran out on 2 legs, and just stopped right up to my car. And I was like, oh shit, this thing's gonna hit me. Oh crap, what do I do? What is this? And then it stopped. And by that time I passed it, I didn't get as good of a look on that one, other than I could see the shape of it coming for me. The last one I saw was the one I got a full on. I saw the pale gray skin. I saw the oil on the skin. I saw the long hair. The hair was oily and wiry, and it was on all fours. It had long, weird looking feet. It was perched like a dog, and it looked right at me. And I thought it was some kind of. I'm like, okay, who has all these weird, huge, like crossbred dogs out here, and they're letting them run around at night on the side of the road? It still didn't register to me that they were Sasquatch, even after I'd visually seen them in plain sight. And this is after listening to Mike Patterson's stuff. I discovered him in 2016, and that's when I became much more. I was open to it, but that's when I was like, oh my God, these things are much more than what I thought. I really researched the living crud out of it. Like, just, I'm like, are these dogmen out here? Are these Sasquatch? What the hell's going on? I found a print, and I was like, it's a four-toe print. Holy shit, is this a dogman? Is this friggin' Wendigo? Or is this a rake? I didn't know any of the, what is this? And then eventually Tim T from Florida, he's cool. He told me in a chat, he said, Stacey, the four-toed skunk apes are all the way from Florida to Texas. I was like, okay, good. I don't want no dog man out here. There's someone I used to hang out with, and her brother was into squatching, and he had left an audio recorder out or something, and she sent me the audio files that he got from it, and I heard this, walking weird gait, and then I heard this and then it's like you could tell it was fumbling around with it and messing with it, and then it put it down in the same spot and was like, I don't like that. And then you could hear it walk off. So that's when I went, wait a minute. Because at that point, this was around 2016 or so. At that point, I was open-minded to it, so to speak. Like, I'd seen Harry and the Hendersons. I think when I was younger, I thought, I don't know if this is real. I think it's just some kind of myth or legend. And as I got more open-minded in maybe my 20s, I suppose, I never really thought about it much. I just was like, I don't know, So I heard those audio clips, back to that my friend had let me listen to, and I was like, wait, whoa. So I got on YouTube and found Sasquatch Ontario. Again, this is like in 2016. And then once I had an experience, there was one of the experiences I've had of many out here. Once I had this one particular experience out here, that's when I went, these are Sasquatch. I'm like, this has to be Bigfoot stuff. The night that they beat on my barn, I don't know if I've told you about that yet. They beat on my barn for 3 hours one night. And I recorded it. And some of it came through pretty damn well. Wow. There's 2 of them. You can tell. They are closer. Holy shit. Wow. They're even louder now. And I still go back and listen to it. That happened about 10 months ago. It was towards it was mid-October, at some point mid to late October of last year, but I recorded it. They beat on my barn all night. Started around midnight, went all the way up to like 3:30 in the morning. There was an incident before that a few weeks before, and that was the incident that made me go, oh my God, there's something going on out here. And then when they beat on the barn, that's when I knew. I was like, this is not normal. Like, I don't know what this is. At that time, I still didn't know what it was. I knew it had to have been paranormal or cryptid or something beyond the norm, but I still didn't have a full knowing if it was Bigfoot or not. I am pretty sure now that the beating of the barn night was Bigfoot. Okay, that's wild. You got 2 tree breaks that very first night. My bad, you recorded 2 of 3. Holy crap. Wow. I know exactly what you speak of. You were emotionally hungover the next day. I've heard people describe this Sasquatch PTSD type thing. I don't know if you've heard about it, Martin, but it's like what happens to a lot of people after they have an experience is you're just like zonked. I think everybody tends to take it in whatever direction they tend to take it in. Some people, they're absolutely just traumatized by it. Some people, like you and me, okay, it's shocking, it's creepy, it's scary, but it's like, wait a minute, it's not. I sort of was forced into it, and then you chose to sort of stay in it, and maybe you're in a situation where that's the best option too, and whatever the case may be, we've taken a different track with it. Where there are people that have described like they've had one thing happen that just totally shattered, like rattled them. They can't go out at night, or they can't go out in the woods at night, or if they do, they have to be armed, or they can't go out into the woods at all, day or night. Some people can't leave their house at night. Some people, it's certain things they just, yeah. For me, it was once I had this one experience. I'll describe it to you. Well, I went through a phase of just, okay, I don't want to go out at night, and I stayed out. I didn't go out. I wouldn't go outside at night for a while, a few weeks, maybe even a few months, I think. No, maybe not that long. And then I got to where I could feel comfortable going out at night again, but I would go armed. And then I got to where I was okay, a few months down the line. It took me a little while. And then I got to where, I felt comfortable going out later at night and staying out longer. And it took me a bit. Because the way that, I'll just put it this way, the way that these beings really, I guess, in a way hit it home to me that they were there. It was rattling, very, because I had to face the fact that something was there, because it was, type of thing, if that makes sense. This stuff goes so beyond what people believe. Even people that are into this stuff most can believe. It's called the woo, and it's like, this is my perspective. Take it or leave it. And I know we probably resonate way more than maybe we don't. I don't know. I'm just, I don't know for sure, but I know you'll take this in. Yeah, they're flesh and blood. Yeah, they're alive. Yes, they are a corporeal being. But they do stuff that we don't. And it's so off the cuff, off the norm, that, I mean, it's almost like a foreign language. Hearing it, like hearing a foreign language for the first time type of deal. Well, and see, Martin, like, these past 3 or 4 nights I've been going out, I'm not afraid. I mean, I'm kind of like, whoa, but I'm not afraid now. I had to stop for a while, I think, and they stopped for a while. They let me process it. Now it's different. They're a little softer. So I'm like, you guys scare me. I had to walk around with a gun. I didn't know who you were, you know. So they're like, all right, let's chill out on him. You know, I was just concerned for my safety because I didn't know what their intentions were. I had no idea what their intentions were. I'm like, what is this? Is this Bigfoot or not? And I'll explain it in my story. It's just, God. 3 a.m. Wow.
Thank you, Stacey, for spending some of your valuable time sharing this with us. I really appreciate it. The next part will be Stacey's pre-story and experiences. Thanks for watching. Blessings.